Okay, it's up. Hi, everybody. My name is Megan McPhail. I am 38, live in Jacksonville, Florida. This is rowdy. They'll be running around like crazy, so you'll have to excuse me if I have to yell at my dogs because they're bad. And excuse my parents because I just woke up. I was going to try to wait till I looked very presentable to do this video because I am very self conscious, number one. Number two, I just think it's appropriate, but I work nights, and when I don't work nights, I work days. And I very rarely look presentable because I'm a cook, and unless I go out, and I'm not going out anytime soon. So, anyways, I'm here to tell you my story, what happened when I got incarcerated, and how it affected my mom and dad, and my family, because that's crazy. But I was arrested when I was 30, which is weird because most 30-year-old people don't go to jail. And I was a mortgage processor for a huge bank. I made very, very, very good money. I had a 3-bedroom house, 2 cars, and I took care of myself financially and was independent because I have been single since I don't even remember when. So, I lost all of that when I went to prison, which was really hard for me. But I was arrested in August of 2010. I fought my charges for 8 months on a self-defense charge. I was jumped by 5 people, 3 men, 2 girls. The fight started out between me and one girl. The other girl jumped into it, and then the next thing I know, boyfriends ran to it. I made it to my car. I pulled my gun. I did not shoot anybody because something in my mind was like, hey, it's not this serious. I was at a pool. What kind of fight could you be having? But I just needed him to get up off me. And I'm sorry if I cuss because I have a very bad mouth. So they called the police and I got arrested. Spent the night in jail, bonded out immediately, and then fought my case for 8 months. At one point, it got raised to 5 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and I was looking at 3 to 5 years for each charge. So I was going to have to do a mandatory minimum of 15, and then maybe start getting game time and get out sometime between that. My life spiraled during that whole thing. The 8 months was long, rough. I lost my job, obviously, because I was in a banking industry and I couldn't have pending felonies. I started to lose my house, but that didn't happen until after I was gone. My mother would not admit that there might be a chance that I was going to go away, so that was hard for her. Finally, day before trial, because I was still sticking to self-defense because in my eyes, I did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. I was defending myself, and I still, to this day, if I had that day to take back, I would do the same thing because I've been beaten by a dude. I know a guy will hit you, so it is what it is. Went to see my lawyer before the trial. Basically, she told me that everybody was going to be biased, like this is going to be my jury, blah, blah, blah. If things went wrong, I'm looking at 15 years. So I was still going to go fight it. And then I didn't. I got scared because they changed my trial to a 1-day trial. So it would have been my testimony, break, state's evidence, decision. I might have left my house and not come home. So that was scary. So I took my 3-year plea. So I had 6 days to get my life together. As far as house my dogs, because I had 2 dogs at the time, take care of all my furniture, all my belongings, because I was living in a 3-bedroom house. I had a life. Like, I was a successful person. This was my career. And I had to turn myself in. So that was rough. My mother and father sat with me. They have been such a blessing through everything. Trying to get my mom to share with me on here with her story, but I think she's nervous. I had to turn myself into county, so I sat in the courtroom in handcuffs while my mother bawled on the court, whatever that is, bench, and it was the worst experience of my life, having to watch the pain inflicted on my mother and father, that I can't even, I hate myself for doing this to them. So, um, went to county, spent 2 weeks in county. It was kind of whatever. We have open bay with cells in it, which means all the walls are big glass walls. So when you bathe, everyone could see you bathing. That took a little getting used to because I'm not very like, hey, hi, how you doing? I don't like people touching me. I don't like people near me. I had a very normal childhood. There was nothing wrong with me. I grew up with two amazing parents and a big brother that I love to pieces. No one molested me. No one ever touched me. I never got into drugs at a crazy age. I did what normal high school kids did, but I never got in trouble. I was never, there was nothing happened in my childhood. So that's, blessed right here. Very blessed. Anyways, so I did my little 2 weeks in county, and I guess I kind of went in since I knew what was happening. It was like, hey, I'm going, and it is what it is. Kind of tough when it comes to some things. Some things I'm a big crybaby. I got to prison in May of 2011. I went straight onto the annex, which is their reception center, well, was their reception center, and their maximum security units, plus the sick people like in dorm, and it was the only air conditioned part of the complex and whatnot. So we get let out of the van, and the man's like, hey, you're property of the state of Florida now. And I'm like, nah, don't nobody own me but my mom and dad. Like, they raised me. We get back there and get put in a holding cell, kind of wait for a while, whatever. And then you have officers coming in and out, just kind of showing themselves. Like, it's all a big show. It's all to scare you initially. So we got put in the room. We had to strip. You had to take off everything you had. I wear contacts. I'm blind. If anybody wears contacts, I wear negative 8.5. So I'm the type of person that the doctor actually is like, oh, wow, you really can't see. So I say to the officer, manners, I got manners. Ma'am, I have contacts in, but I can't see. Like, I can't see without them. They're medically necessary. I told you take everything off that you weren't fucking born with. Again, pardon my language, because, sorry. So take my contacts out, and she puts them in 2 plastic containers with no saline solution, which I had with me, which I tried to say, hey. They dried out into little crispy things, so I wouldn't have been able to put them back in anyways. So I'm blind at this point. No communication with my mom on the phone for like 30 days. I walk out of the room, I trip over a stair. The officer was like, damn, why are you so nervous? I'm not nervous, I'm blind. I can't see you. God, had to go see the nurse. She wanted to do my eye exam. She said, can you read the top letter? No, I can't see. You're lying. You're lying. You can see that letter. No, I can't see that letter because I'm freaking blind. I know it's an E because I'm blind and I've been this way since I was 4, but I'm whatever. And at this point, I'm not used to people treating me this way in any way, shape, or form. And I'm a very stand-up guy. And if you say some ridiculousness to me, I'm going to say some ridiculous to you because that's just disrespectful. I'm respectful. Hi everybody watching. So she tells me I'm lying about my vision. I can't see nothing. First 30 days of prison, I can't see shit. Guards are talking to me. I have no clue. I'm getting yelled at. I don't even know they're yelling at me. They calling me to the bubble. I have no clue who they're talking to. Like, so imagine the repercussions of that. That went very well with all of these officers, especially I'm fresh in, so they think I have some nasty attitude. I'm like, no, sir, I can't see. So my mom and I are communicating through mail, which takes forever. Everything was delayed. So she's trying to get me contacts or glasses by any means necessary. She's like, I will drive to Ocala and bring them to you. Whatever you need me to do, I'm coming. My child can't see. And they're like, oh, no, well, we can't. And then they said that we could. And then they turned them back. And then finally, I had gotten a situation with a guard. He was yelling at me, and I had no clue. So I kept walking. And he spun me around, and there's outside toilets and him against the wall there, and he's like, what the hell's wrong with you? You think you can just walk around here, blah, 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 all this crazy nonsense. No, sir, I'm sorry. I can't see. I didn't know you were looking at me. Like, because if they don't know your name and they don't have the binoculars, they can't call you. What are they supposed to say? Hey, inmate, and everybody who's an inmate, turn around. I didn't do that. If you yelled inmate, I wasn't turning around because I wasn't doing nothing but minding my business. So, my mother called the prison the next day, and she said, let me explain something to y'all people. My child cannot see. She is being told to do things, but she doesn't know they're talking to her. So you get her contacts now, or glasses, or anything happens to her, I'm coming after the state. Whatever that might have been. That we see how Lowell's looking right now in the news, so shit. That would have been a story way undercover. Like, I would have had me under the prison before my mom knew what the hell happened. So that was my first terrible experience in prison. I was on the annex for 3 months. They take you out of R&O, where they kick you outside all day. Idiots are smoking in the dorm. We can go outside in 15 minutes. Just wait. Go outside in 15 minutes and smoke. I smoke. I waited. No big deal. Well, I smoked. I quit 3 months ago. Yay. So, alright, I'm at the beginning of this too. This is terrible. I'm sorry, y'all. They moved me over to the maximum security, which is Mike Dorm. That's where like all the lifers are housed, and like the tough ones that don't have shit to lose. Girls that are gonna fight over their girlfriends because that's going to be the only girlfriend for the rest of their life. I mean, girls snatching other girls' canteen bags and running from the canteen. Stop, that's rude. Stop it. I saw 2 girlfriends get in such a bad fight that there was blood everywhere. Everywhere. Ridiculousness. I was in a cell for that amount of time. Thank God by then I had communication with my mom via phone, so like we could talk every single day. I had gotten my contacts. I could see. Little did I know I wanted to take back the fact that I could see, because what I was looking at was not pretty. The dirty filthiness, and what they cleaned with at night. Toothpaste. They gave us toothpaste to clean with. Throughout my whole entire incarceration, that's what we cleaned with, was toothpaste. State issued toothpaste. The heck? Like, for real? I use toothpaste on my sneakers to get them real clean. Anyways, so, that time in Mike Dorm was crazy, because I'm in there with people who doing life. They don't have nothing to lose. I mean, I remember one lady, she used to get mad if you stepped on the floor after she cleaned it. Miss Julia was like, she had been in there for 40 years. She murdered her daughter's boyfriend, her husband. Something. She was nuts. She used to dye her hair with mustard. She, nice lady. I mean, she was nice. She just looked crazy. That's all. She was always nice to me. I never had any problems with her. They transferred me from the annex to Levy, which was not so terrible. Levy was a small compound. We had 4 dorms, which housed, I think, 50 to 60 inmates total in each dorm. So your side 1 and side 2 were in the same dorm with no wall. It was just like the TV area separated you. They were very strict. There was, like, we got white glove dusting tests, and what. The first day I was there, it was so freaking hot because it was August. I tried to smoke a whole pack of cigarettes and go into an asthma attack so I could go back to the air conditioning because it was terrible. But for the most part, Levy was not terrible because it was such a small compound. The officers could only do so much and act a certain way, and it wasn't so bad. They were petty. That's what I would say. If you got CCs for petty stuff, it just ridiculous stuff. I went in with a mandatory sentence, 3 years. I was doing day for day. It didn't matter, gain time, no gain time. I could act a donkey or I could just chill. I made the decision to chill because that was just easier for me, less stress. My parents got to see me all the time, whatever. I never verbalized that I was a maximum You know, like they couldn't take my days. Like I went with them girls that were in there like, oh, you can't do nothing to me. You can't take my. No, I'm chilling. So they all thought they could take my days. So they thought they could sort of threaten me and whatever. Okay. Levy, I worked my butt off at forestry, which we pulled little baby trees. They made it sound like we were pulling gigantic like fruit trees. No, they're little seedlings, little trees, and they get shipped all over the country and stuff. It was miserable. We'd be out there on the ice. And now let me tell you, my parents made it as comfortable as possible for me. They made sure that I had sweatshirts and thermals and t-shirts and socks and underwear, because I was issued 2 pairs of underwear when I went into prison that were size 12s. I was 120 pounds. And then when I cut them up and tied them into like bikini bottoms so I could wear them, I got in trouble for destruction of state property. But y'all gave me size 12s. What you want me to do? Like, I pull them up to here and wear them like that? I can't. Stupid stuff. Stupid little stuff. So my mom and dad always made sure that I had the sneakers. And please, let me just bring it. We are not well off by any means. My parents were possibly getting close to comfortable before I went into prison because I was doing so well. My brother is very successful. He's great. And they were at a point where they could focus on themselves. This is where I came in like a wrecking ball and destroyed their lives, which is why I want my mom to share with you guys that part. So we would freeze, wet boots that didn't fit. They gave us a barrel of boots. None of them matched up. Just, I'm talking like a big laundry bin basket barrel of boots. And was like, find you some boots that fit. Find boots that fit. There ain't, like, none of them soles like this. Like, I mean, and you're on your feet working. And at Levy, we got up. We didn't go out until the sun came out. We had to go. They wouldn't let us out when it was night. Still dark. We had to be able to be seen. So, the worst part about Levy, medical trips. They had to take us to the main unit. They would pack us 12 inmates to the van, maximum capacity, and you would be shackled to your belly button, your feet and arms, shackled down, terrified that you were going to die on that hour and a half minute because you're locked in. I'm claustrophobic on top of it. Locked into the damn van. Oh my God. Like, they padlock you in with the door, and then they shut that door, and then it's like bulletproof glass, I do believe. So if we flip and something happens and this officer dies, God forbid, we're trapped. We're just trapped. Just straight trapped. That stuff used to, oh my, it used to scare the crap out of me. I hated when they wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning and talking about, hey, medical McPhail. No. Oh, being called by my last name for 3 years. That was joysome. Anyways, so, yeah. Levy wasn't so terrible. It was prison. I mean, it wasn't fun. But, like I said, my mom and dad made me as comfortable as possible. I am so blessed and grateful for the two of them. I did leave some financial help behind because I did have a career, but it only lasted so long. I mean, prison's expensive. You pay $2 for a bar of soap that you can get out here for 98 cents. You pay $3. A thing of freaking lotion, $8. Tampons, $8. Like, that's crazy. And you can only spend $100 a week. Like, but again, thankful because I could do those things. So many girls used to make pads and take them and make them into tampons, and I used to be like, oh my God, you guys, you shouldn't be doing that because you're sticking the glue from the pad part in your stuff. It's not supposed to go in there. But they wouldn't wear pad. You did what you had to do. So I got transferred from Levy went to shut down. So just because of funding, and it was such a small camp and everything like that. So they shut down. I was one of the first people to leave the compound. We went over to the work camp, which is off by the main. The work camp, to me, to go from where I went at Levy, where they were decent, like, I mean, they weren't terrible, um, to the work camp where these officers were just D-bags, like, for no reason, like, the way they talk to you and stuff. Our officers at Levy were not allowed to talk to us like that. They were not allowed to call us crack whores. They were not allowed to do, they did not. They did not. I remember Officer Purvis at Levy. She was amazing. Lieutenant Ross. She was a little messy, but she was still alright. Mr. Mays, Mr. Pullins. I had some decent officers. Now, when I get to the work camp, I'm not gonna be able to tell you many officers' names. We were so structured. We got out of the van when they brought us in the carport, I guess you want to call it. And we knew to get out and fall in line. Like, it wasn't military, but it was just structure. That's just how we worked. And the gate chick, Miss Colazzo, she was silly. She was like, wow, that's how y'all always work. Okay, cool. So we get on the damn compound, after stripping. Like, that was the worst part about leaving. They would take 45 to 80 people out to forestry, and then we would come in and have to strip. But they would group strip us. So there would be like 20 to 30 inmates in the big old VP room. And you stand there butt booty naked, just waiting for your turn, just hanging out. Everybody's naked, just hanging out. Everybody stinks. They've been working all day. It is the most dehumanizing, is that the word I want to use? Yeah, probably. Experience that I have ever had in my life. So, that took a lot of getting used to, having to just get naked, just fucking get naked, hey, in front of everyone. I mean, most of us showered together because we were all in the same dorms, and everywhere I was, we had open showers. Like, you didn't shower separately, everybody. That was awkward too. You start to, showers at work camp, that's a story. Anyways, so we get to the work camp, and the work camp girls or whatever, a little bit different than what we had at Levy. At Levy, nobody could take medications. Not judging anyone, whatever. I take medications. I took heavy medications before I went into prison. I made a choice when I was in prison to not take any mood stabilizers, because I'm watching these girls that are so doped up on their night meds falling off their beds at master count. I'm good. I don't need to wake up in the officer's bubble or somewhere weird I'm not supposed to be with my pants around my ankle. I'm straight. So for a year and a half of my incarceration, I did not take any of my pills, and I was diagnosed bipolar at 24, depressive, all that wonderful stuff, anxiety, PTSD, other stories, of course, but they had nothing to do with the incarceration. So then, the girls were a little different at the work camp. They were still smoking, and we weren't allowed to smoke since like September of like a year before then. Oh, and by the way, I ended up doing 3 years maximum. 3. I didn't do 5, I did 3. I just ended up with 5 counts on my record, so I looked like a maniac and nobody would give me a job. But I remember we went out on squads the first day. Like, there was no play, squads first day. That was my officer on squads. Let me tell you, that lady was so nasty. I have never met a lady nastier than that. Me and one girl almost got hit by a car. She was supposed to be behind us watching, and she was on the phone. We almost got hit by a car. She told us to cross the road. There was cars coming. You can't tell these officers no. Like, I'm like, man, lady, there's a car coming. Of course, I didn't say man, lady, because I would go in confinement. But I'm like, Officer Young, there's a car. She's like, I said cross this road, McPhail. She was awful. She was absolutely awful. We got into it one day in the truck. I knew I was going to confinement. She went off, and I can't even remember the exact words, but we went back and forth, because she just thought I was some terrible, just pain in the ass. And she was like, I'm going to pray for you, McPhail. I said, I don't need the devil praying for me. I'm good. Thank you. Oh, I just knew I was going to confinement. I don't know how I didn't that day. I have no clue. But I was off for squad the next day. So that was wonderful. I got put on sanitation. Sanitation was when, now, Lowell didn't use garbage bags because it was too costly to put them in all the trash cans. So all the trash just kind of marinated in the trash cans, and then it got dumped into bigger trash cans where it marinated in those trash cans. And this little guy here, got to dump those marinated trash cans down a chute. Feminine products, I mean, you name it, in the trash can. Maggots, of course. The best part was when it would start to get cool and it would be windy. No face masks, because we're not allowed to cover our faces because they have to be able to see us at all times. We weren't issued hats. I don't even think I had gloves when I was on sanitation. And I'm not a girly chick. I mean, hey, it's whatever, but I don't want to deal with other people's girly chick stuff. So, you would go to dump it down the chute, and if it was windy, it would blow back in your face. That was terrible. That was really gross. So, yeah, that was not a fun experience. Shortly thereafter, I got pulled from sanitation once I got used to it because the officer was really cool and he didn't like go ham on us, and my squad was kind of cool. I was alright with everybody. They pulled me to equine, and I'm like, what? Horses? Equine was the best thing that happened to me in prison. That program saved my life. Through all of this, my mom's coming to visit. My mom and dad came to visit every other weekend. I talked to my mom every single day. I got a letter from my mom every single day. Tried to make sure I wrote her every single day. She kept stamps coming. She kept stationery coming. My mom and dad are amazing. My mom never told me the things that they would do to them when they would come in for visitation, because I would have gone. I don't play about my parents. My mom is my mom, and I love her to pieces. She is my best friend. She is my rock. She's my everything. My father is an amazing guy, and I would not know what to do without either one of them. And my father has rheumatoid arthritis, and he has had 2 full knee replacements. My parents are 73 and 74. They're a little older because I'm adopted, and they got me when they were 35 and 36. So, they used to make my father stand up to take his shoes off so they could check his socks to make sure he didn't have any contraband. My daddy can't even barely walk. Like, he has trouble. He's hunched back. He's always scooting around. I mess with him all the time and tell him I'm going to get an electric cart for him if he doesn't start walking. So, my mom's experiences with them, I want her to share with you guys because I didn't witness it. She kept all of it from me because she knew how I would respond. So, like I said, equine was my saving grace. I started sponsoring a horse named Pick. He is my baby, and I hope if situations play out right, I will be able to get him home in the next year or so. He was supposed to come home with me when I left prison. My dad lost his job, so they weren't able to help me with that. And I thought I was going to come home and think everything was going to be just fine. I can go get a job. It's whatever. I've done my time. I've done what I was supposed to do. Blah, blah, blah. No. I didn't find a job for a year and a half. So, the work camp, we had our officers that were real nasty. Having grown men watch you in the shower. Women watch you in the shower. What am I talking about? Hey, some of them women were like, hey. Having to be crammed into a small room and strip and cough and squat when everybody smells like straight, just bleh. That was pretty terrible. The food was inedible. It was, nope. There might have been 1 or 2 things every once in a while that I could be like, oh, okay, I'll eat that. I remember one of my birthdays in incarceration, which can only be so much fun because the dorm sung me happy birthday after master count. I didn't ask him to. I mean, hey, cool, thank you. God forbid we act like civilized human beings. And these are people I spend every day and night with, and they sing me happy birthday. The officer, Officer Ballard, called me to the window. And he was like, oh, McPhail, so it's your birthday. Yes, sir. Oh, really? Well, that little stunt just earned you a locker search. Stunt. All right, cool. Whatever, come on. So he comes over to my locker. He's digging through my stuff. And mostly they just like to make a mess of your locker, so you have to put it back together. Because all of your stuff is in this, like, small... I know y'all can't see my hands when I'm doing that. But it's like a little bit bigger than a deep dresser drawer, I guess I would say. And everything has to fit in that. All of your soaps, hygienes, any materials, writing materials, books. At one point, they made us put our clothes in there. I was like, what the hell are y'all doing? But everything has to fit in there. Food, all your food. So he came and searched my locker, and I don't know why. I had a match. One single solitary match. No match book, nothing to strike it on, a match. Okay, I shouldn't have had the match. We're not supposed to have matches. I shouldn't have had the match. Okay, I was wrong. This man, finally, after he has destroyed my whole entire locker, and I'm sitting in the day room, and people are like, oh my God, Megan, he found a razor blade. I said, oh, no, he didn't find no razor blade in my locker. It was the match. So, he cuffed me, he took me to the lieutenant's office, and, was so proud of himself. Like, one of the Sergeant Oglesby asked, hey, what's happening? Why you got McPhail? Because I didn't mess with anybody. I didn't do anything. I just went to work and slept. And, I mean, I might have a little slick mouth when you won't give me no toilet paper, but I want to wipe my butt. So, he was just so excited that he got to take me to lock. Well, joke's on you. The lieutenant called my dorm. Saw I had no disciplinary action in, like, forever. And was like, McPhail, I'm gonna let you slide. But Officer Ballard was so mad. Every single shift he worked from then out, my locker got tossed. And it wasn't even that he was looking for something. It was just to make a mess. And sometimes he'd do it right after master count before they turned off the lights, and I'd be in the dark trying to put my stuff up. He constantly harassed me. Just as some idiot country boy. Whatever. So, that was a little part of it. You had to ask for toilet paper. They wouldn't give it to you. Let's see. Went confinement once. Got sucker punched. And she ran. I ran after her. And we went to confinement. That was crappy. I was lucky I didn't have any crazy cellmates to share my time with. I know one of my friends was in confinement for talking in line at breakfast. And I call her a friend because she's still my friend to this day. She will be getting married soon, and I will be at her wedding. Like, you meet some great people in there. There is some really great people in there who just made some really dumb choices or caught up in the wrong place, wrong time. Or like me, I didn't think I was making a bad choice. I was defending myself. I'm sorry I didn't want to end up in the hospital with a broken jaw. My bad. But anyways, she went to confinement for talking in line during breakfast. She was there for like a week. They ended up macing her cellmate because her cellmate tried to hang herself in the toilet. She took her sheet and tied it around her neck and put it in the toilet and flushed the toilet. Now those toilets are meant to suck down any and everything, and until it gets it down, it's going to keep on sucking. Yeah. And Amy's at the door like, help. Oh, sorry, I just said my friend's name. And nobody would come and help, and they sprayed her. They ended up macing her, and finally came in and got the girl. But I don't have many confinement stories because, like I said, I went one time. That was enough for me. I needed to talk to my mom and dad because me being away and being incarcerated for 3 years was them being incarcerated for 3 years. They did every second of that time with me. And it's terrible. I apologized and apologized and apologized to my mom about what I was putting her through and my selfish decisions and whatever. Like, you don't think about how things like that affect the people who truly love you until you have to watch them, like, fall apart in front of you. I watched my mom start to not deteriorate. She's weakened. Her fight is less. It's not there anymore. Because I took it all out of her. She couldn't do anymore, and then having to live her life with her youngest child incarcerated. And I kept a lot of the little things. Like, I can't even think of some of the little things right now that are just like so terribly awful that happened there. Because, you know, you try to put that shit to the back of your mind. I'm sorry. But my mom has suffered terribly. That's why I really want her to share. But anyways, so let's talk about medical for a second. I worked at the farm with the horses, which was amazing. I loved it. And I'm probably boring everybody to death, but sorry, like I said, I just woke up. I got bit by a spider. I got bit by a brown recluse. So, I go to medical. The first day was kind of like just like a little itchy something. And then the next day when I woke up, I couldn't move my leg because I got bit in the hip. And I had a top bunk, so I had trouble getting down. So I get to medical and I'm like, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. They look at it and they're like, oh, it's nothing. It's probably just MRSA or a staph infection. Thank God for my instructor out of equine who knows everything, and he's an old country man who's just amazing. He, you know, was like, McPhail, does it look this way, that way? Because obviously he couldn't look at it because of where it was. And I'm like, yes, sir. And he's like, okay, yeah, that's what it is. So you go back and tell them, you know. So they gave me shots of antibiotic for 3 days, I think, maybe 5. One shot that the nurse gave me one time, she was on the phone, and when she was in her cell phone, no, it wasn't her cell phone, I'm sorry, they weren't allowed to have cell phones in there, her phone, but it was personal. She hit the wrong spot, I guess, and blood was pouring down my leg, and I'm like, oh, hey, can I get a Band-Aid? And she was like, for what? The blood pouring down my leg? Like, are you going to clean that up? She gave me an alcohol wipe. No, I'm talking a stream of blood had poured down my leg. I got so sick. I almost died. Morning pill line was real weird. So sometimes you went to eat and then got pills, or sometimes you got pills and then went to eat. I don't know. Whichever way it worked, when you're on heavy antibiotics, you have to eat. I don't eat in the mornings. 4:30 in the morning is too much for me, whatever. And they won't give you the antibiotics to take by yourself. Like, if you wake up at 7 and eat breakfast, which I did do, you can't have them on your person, because God forbid, what am I going to do? Sell antibiotics for honey buns? I didn't know that was a hot commodity. My antibiotics didn't stick with me well, let's just put it that way. I would get back to the dorm and vomit profusely. And so basically I was vomiting up the medicine you just gave me to fight off this poison in my skin. And they wouldn't listen. They wouldn't listen. I kept trying to tell them, and I got weaker and weaker and weaker. I went from about 140 pounds to 120. They put me on different antibiotics. This was over like a 3-week span. And I couldn't go out in the sun, so I couldn't go out to the farm. It was awful. I really, really thought I was dying. And my mom didn't know how much chaos to cause. Like, do you stir the pot, and then stirring the pot did too much, and now they're just gonna leave your daughter to die because you did stir the pot? Or do you stir the pot and she just goes to what the heck is it? The infirmary, and that's like being in confinement, because you can't have any of your canteen, you don't get any phone calls, you can't get visits, and all that stuff. So what do I want to go to? I mean, granted, yeah, y'all would have given me IVs and stuff, but other than that, no, I don't want to go to the infirmary. I want to talk to my mama every night. Like, those moments, I did not want anything but my mother. I wanted my mom so freaking bad. And I just wanted to climb in her lap and cry because I thought I was fucking dying. The pain was terrible. It was in my bones. I never felt anything like that in my life. So I go and consult with some of my fellow inmates, and we decide when we can get our hands on whatever we're going to get it on, we're going to cut this out of my skin and call it a day, because this place doesn't care. And that's what we ended up doing. We cut the bite area out while I was still on antibiotics for a few more days, and that's how I didn't die. I had this one group that like were quick to want to spray people and just act stupid. And I remember one night waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning with them stomping on the empty bed in their metal beds. Oh, let's talk about that for a second. First started sleeping on those metal beds. Can I tell you, I have arthritis. That pain in my hips was so terrible, I thought I was going to die. And you can't even get no ibuprofen. But anyways, the man came in screaming and yelling and jumping on the bed at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning for no other reason but to wake us up. Terrible. He gunned for me for a little bit, but then he let it alone. And see, it's funny because I would tell my mom all this stuff, and they listen to your phone calls. So I would have the officers say stuff like, yeah, you all can run and call your mom if you want to. I don't care. I will call my mom about everything. She's going to know what y'all are doing. Because if something happens to me, God forbid, she needs to know names and everything that's happening on this compound. And I told her as much as I could that didn't jeopardize my safety and me going under investigation. I told her as much as I could. And they didn't care. The officers didn't care. The food service people didn't care. The medical people didn't care. It was just ridiculous. And people needed to care in there because there was a lot of people in there with medical issues that needed to be dealt with. I remember one girl came over to the work camp. This child, she was so sick. I don't know what was going on with her. She was throwing up blood. Nobody would help her because everybody's like, oh, she's got AIDS. She's got AIDS. Me and my friend helped her in the shower one day because she had to wash herself off and she couldn't do it. And, she ended up having like gallbladder issues, and they had to take out her gallbladder. Like, she could have died, and no one cared. The officers didn't go down. They didn't care. And this poor child was sick. Like, there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. She was sick. She wasn't nothing but a baby, 19. So those were, there's no compassion, and it's prison, and it's not supposed to be fun, and it's not supposed to be a good time, and I get that. But their job is not to punish us further. Their job is to supervise us. And some of those officers terrorized us. And I was lucky enough that the worst they could do to me was know that my parents came all the time, and they'd make comments about that kind of stuff. I stayed to myself. I read my books. I I'm sure I've left out some very important things. But anyways, I graduated the equine program. I know how to do all kinds of cool stuff with horses now. I can trim feet. I can give them injections. I had hoped to find a job with that when I came home to Jacksonville. It just wasn't. It's not a horse place. If I had stayed in Ocala, I could have, but I was not staying anywhere near where I would bump into one of those ratchet officers. Meticulous. I came home with so many aches and problems that I didn't have. Carpal tunnel issues, just all kinds of crazy stuff. Toenails don't grow right. They're painful. If you can see my gray here, that wasn't there before I went to prison. I used to have to take bucket baths because they would turn the water off on us and tell us we weren't allowed to shower. I'll be damned. I'm going to wash myself. And could get in trouble for it. Could absolutely get in trouble for bathing myself. And I mean, so, and like I said, I met some really wonderful people there. And I even met some really interesting people. Like, you know, I slept beside murderers and people that were in there for human trafficking. Just crazy stuff. Like, crazy stuff. And that's, you don't ever think. That's like, I don't know, you see people for what they want you to see them as in there, because there is a lot of people who are manipulative and they act a certain way, so you think they're a certain type of person, and then if you catch up with them on the outside, they're totally different. So it was very weird. You couldn't trust anybody. Don't trust anyone, because even your closest will take from you. I learned all that quickly. So I went to VP Canteen and after being graduated from equine, which was really cool because I got to spend my last like 3 months chilling. Now, I never told anybody I was mandatory. Keep in mind this. So usually around your last month of incarceration, they kind of start messing with you because they think you have gain time. So they'll start picking at you and try to get you to lose your gain time, which is just evil. Why? Let us go home. Let us go. Let us go. You hate us so much. Let us go. I had to go into my VP canteen twice a day to check the cooler temperatures. No big deal. In and out. I was in there one morning after I had gone to the regular canteen and bought my own food. And one of the sergeants followed me in, and she's like, "Where'd you get that bag of food?" "From the canteen." "You're not supposed to shop there." "I'm not to shop there. What are you talking about? Where else do I shop?" So she poured all my stuff out on a table, checked the receipts. Of course, everything I had in the bag I had paid for. So then she takes me back in the back and she strip searches me. And she's like, "You're not allowed back in that VP. Every time you go in that canteen, you have to get searched." Not, we'll just walk in with you and read the temperature and leave, which takes 2 minutes. Now keep in mind, I'm in a position where I'm trusted with a key and money. What? So every time she worked, I got stripped 4 times a day just so I could walk in there for 5 minutes. I don't think people could possibly understand what that does to someone, having to be subjected to get naked, bend over, grab your stuff, squat, cough. I have no more humility. I have no self-esteem. I am not the person I used to be. And it's scary sometimes because I miss that person. But, I can't find a job. I can barely take care of myself. It's a snowball effect. But now, fortunately, I have two jobs. I work my butt off 7 days a week for barely anything. I can barely pay rent. But I am blessed still to have my mother and father on my team, and they are absolutely amazing. Everything I went through in prison, and like I said, I'm sure I have left out things that are like, oh my God, how'd I leave that out? Oh, yeah, the random dorm raids. That was always fun. You go to lunch or dinner. I had to go to dinner because I had to go to Pill Line. So it wasn't really like I went to dinner. I just walked out and went to Pill Line. And they would raid the dorm and lock us out and tear your shit up. Tear it up to the point where you couldn't even decipher what was yours and what was somebody else's. So I think they use very much so a form of intimidation to run it, and it's not okay because that's not what they're there for. You are there to watch me and make sure I am safe. What is it? Care, community, and control. That's what you are. Like, you are supposed to care for me, make sure we're controlled, and that the community, our fenced-in area, is safe. They didn't get that. So through all of that, I made it to when Sergeant Smith kept messing with me. I finally started laughing and joking, and I said, I don't know what you think you're trying to do. She was like, oh, you think you're leaving on the 29th? I said, Sarge, I'm leaving on the 29th regardless. I'm mandatory, have been this whole time. 29th is my day, no matter what you do to me. So, whatever. AOS from the main unit. That was whatever, just long, drawn out, typical, because by this time I had been incarcerated for 3 years, and I just knew what to expect from anything and everything dealing with DOC. So, my mom came and picked me up. Life was rough when I got home. Maybe that's another story that I can tell, because I feel like I've bored everyone. It wasn't what any of us anticipated for it to be. So in the process of the past 3.5 years of my freedom, my mother has had to help me financially because we cannot live in the same house together because I'm 38. I mean, come on. But I can't take care of myself because I am a violent 5-time convicted felon. And it sucks. So my mom has to help out a lot, and that's why I want her to share her part about what happened there. And like I said, I'm sure I've left out some things that were ridiculous, but I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot. I have 1,096 days worth of stories. So just try to give you a general overcap. I will try to get Mom on here with me. She's shy, maybe. But, so, we'll see. Thank you for watching and listening to my story. Sorry if it was kind of vague. If anybody has any questions, anything, I'm totally an open book. You can reach out to me through the page. I have there's nothing that I hide. And in general, it was a terrible place to be. So, all right, everybody have a great day, and keep your head ups, and be there for your loved ones. That's what they need the most. Bye.